You won 4 out of 5. You happy with that block, and how do you view this one? Because you've got a lot of rugby now over the next, say, 8.
Yeah, so obviously outcome-wise was good. There were elements of our performance we were really pleased with, elements we weren't. That's just rugby, right? So we've got to make sure that we are, target-specific development, as I've just spoken about. And as you say, we were about to go 10 games straight. So, that's when your squad gets tested.
Connacht away, not the easiest place to go to, especially this time of year as well. You know what you expect in the conditions. What are you looking for this Friday?
Well, obviously when you go, I'm on record about benchmarking yourself against the Irish provinces, and this is an opportunity to do that. We went there and won last year in the sunshine, and we went there in the Rainbow Cup and lost. So from that point of view, we know how competitive they are. They're a very, very good team, well coached. Andy Friend, who I know well. And especially at home, that they're very passionate crowd, quite an intimidating place to go due to its location. And we need to be really, really good at the basics above anything else, because that gets you into the game. And when you're away from home, that's your entrance into trying to apply some pressure.
6 days after the international, your Wales ultimate squad contingent, everyone available?
No. So obviously, people have played. Obviously, Rhys Davis has been, in there from a camp point of view to cover Al. So he's obviously into the reckoning for us. There's boys that have, played some considerable game time. They won't be, and then there's obviously some boys that we know that need some reintegration time. So a couple will, a lot won't.
Adam Beard, how is he, Toby? It looked a nasty one.
Yeah, obviously, the first, when you see something like that, the first concern is, that he's okay. I was in contact with him in the evening. He was quite coherent in bits and pieces. Got a nice black eye and a lot of stitches. But he's recovering well. He's on a down week. He won't be involved this weekend for obvious reasons, especially on a short day turnaround. So from his point of view, he's safe and healthy with his family.
Okay, and just a quick one. Wayne mentioned that perhaps Salomon Jones might be out for the Six Nations, but back for you before the end of the season. Is that a fair assessment of where he's at the moment?
Well, he's had one operation. He needs a second, so we won't really know what happens until the second one is done, which is in a couple of weeks. So we'll see where that is and what that gives us. And then once with all the best scans in the world, until you get in there, you don't really know. But he's very confident that he'll be back. But that's Al for you, and we'll put everything around him to make his recovery as quick as possible.
So just to clarify that, he's had one operation since the New Zealand game, and he's going to have another one in the next couple of weeks.
He is, yeah.
And when you've got this final one for me, Toby, when you've got this block of 10 weeks, you can have the squad tested, obviously before. How are you looking forward to that, till going all the way through now to the end of Jan?
Yeah, great opportunity. I've talked a lot about growing your people and growing your youngsters and all those sort of things. Those youngsters are, a year further down the line. They're quite happy to put their hand up and carry the mantle forward. And anyone that goes there, we should be seeing it as an opportunity to stake a claim for the shirt, but also represent the people in the group. So I have no qualms about who goes out there, but everyone who goes out there knows what their responsibilities are.
Thank you. Good luck on Friday.
Thank you.
Hi Toby, just two from me, if that's all right. Just briefly on the injuries, can I just ask you about Tipuric and North? I think Justin said, I think he was on one of the video feeds in the stadium, that he aims to be back by Christmas if possible. Is that a realistic sort of target from your point of view? Yeah,
we believe it is, yeah. He's been training with us in non-contact stuff, so yeah, we believe he's on track for that. And George, he's not due to be back till after Christmas, after the New Year, and for sure won't be doing that. I'm fairly certain on that as well.
Yeah, and just a second one on the autumn test, obviously several of your players were involved, but I mean, Alex Cuthbert was a terrific story, wasn't it, for him to come back and, you know, get another try, and he must have been thrilled with that, because it was a great feel-good story.
Yeah, you saw how much it meant to him, and obviously the pictures after with his young family, you know, to come through. Sport is can be such a cruel place. You know, the margins are tight, high performance is tight, and to see, you know, a good guy like him, and he is a good guy, has really contributed on and off the pitch since he's come back here. To get back to, you know, scoring a try, playing for his country in front of his young family is a really, really good story, and we're delighted for him.
Great, thank you.
Toby, it's Mark of this.
Hello, Mark.
With with that Alan Wing, you said he was confident of getting back, but is there some kind of, Gareth asked you about the end of the season? Is he pretty confident he will be back this season?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. He the worst thing you can say to Al is that he won't do something. So he's got the attitude and the mindset, and that's what sets him apart from a lot of other people. And you know, we're with what we can put around him, and you know, the various things. You know, we'll get him back as fast as his mind and his body allows him. So, we're pretty confident about that.
And with George, you say he won't be back until the new year. Is there any kind of doubt about him being available for the start of the Six Nations?
I can't answer that. I mean, this might come as a revelation, guys, but I've left my my doctor's certificate and my surgery permit at home until we get them sort of through the other side and close to return to play. Then I can offer an opinion. But until they get to that point, as I've said, it's quite often with long-term injuries. You get quite a. First thing is the surgery success. Then you get quite a steep improvement, and then it's the final third, the final quarter of their rehab where it ebbs and flows depending on how they react. So I can't really answer that, but the signs are encouraging for sure.
And the other two on your list, if you could just keep your doctor's cloak on for...
No problem, I'll do my best.
Would be Dan Lydiate and Dowie Lake. Are you expecting those any signs of progress on that front?
Dowie Lake's in full training, so once we get a couple of weeks into him, he'll be available. So that's the real positive. As a doctor, I can tell you that. That's the first thing. And Dan Lydiate's probably on the same timelines around with George, so he's probably looking into the new year. But again, his signs have been very encouraging to this point.
You played 2 development games over the past couple of weeks. You won both games. I assume you were looking at performances as well. Who sort of caught your eye in those games?
Great question. Obviously, you know, the result is a nice to have. What's important is getting a chance to benchmark our players, and young players getting a chance to put on an Ospreys jersey. So from that point of view, it's good to see where they are and who's moved forward. So it was great to see Harry Morgan, for example, was a good. You talk about success stories. He's had a horrific time with injury. So seeing him out there, Matthew Aubrey as well in the game against Ealing before, Josh Thomas learning how to control the game and be that 10 up and coming 10 and dictate what's going on. They were encouraging. I thought Harry Deeves played and Will Hickey were 2 standout performers, and we've got some young type 5 out there, Ben Warren, Hugh Sutton, for example, that are finding their way. So there was a lot of good performances for us. The challenge for us now is to maintain that momentum and get them a playing programme that allows them to keep developing, because as we say to all of our players, all you can do is keep improving yourself and be ready if an opportunity comes along. Some of those boys are closer than others, but all they can do is control themselves.
I was told that Harry Deeves and Morgan Strong were really excellent over the ball.
Yeah.
And were key for you, really.
Yeah, Morgan Strong, again, I didn't mention him previously, but you know, he captained the side as well, so that was great from a leadership, something different, carried the ball well. which is his point of difference. And played tough. That's the thing. They both played really tough, to be fair. Along with Will Hickey, they, from a back row point of view, we had some good standout performances in both games.
And you see Harry Deeds, you've got strength and depth there at number 7. You see him as part of your long-term sort of succession plan, shall we say?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, a lot of those boys. I mean, everyone talks about, Jack Morgan's, a pup really. Early 20s, and then you got Deasy coming in behind him. You've got Joe Grabham, Morgan Strong. We've got Morgan Morris who can play 7. You need to have flexibility around positions. And people are fixated, well, he's a 6, he's a 7, he's an open side, he's this, functional. Justin Tipperick's a great example. Justin Tipperick plays a line-out role like a 6, but then plays like a 7 in wide channels and can do different things. So, the modern player is more about what their point of differences are rather than the shirt number on their back.
With Tom Booth, I think he qualifies for Wales now.
Yeah, so someone mentioned that to me.
Toby, is that?
I'm not sure Tom Bofa knows that, but he's
You see him as having the potential, to play international rugby.
I've not really thought about it despite asking me. Look, if you're part of a winning team and you're part of dominant set piece as a tighter prop, then I suppose. You're putting your best foot forward and giving yourself a chance. So I've not really thought about it. He's obviously a very, very good scrummager, and we've been without Tommy Francis, and he's carried the torch for him or after him. So look, Tommy wants to be the best version of himself, and we'll see where that takes him.
And last question from me, really. I guess your number 1 jersey will be one of the most keenly contested in Welsh rugby, with Nicky Smith obviously keen to make a mark, Rodri Jones, Gareth Thomas, and then coming up on the rails, if not for this season, is Garen Phillips. Yeah,
100%. The unfortunate thing is that, and this probably echoes the point, if you're going to fight on many fronts and weekly and week out, and contribute to international programs, you need strength in depth for sure. And even with those 4 youngsters, those 4 players you mentioned, not all 4 have been fit at any one time. In my time here, in relation from a selection point of view, so that probably tells you that you do need, strength in depth, especially if set piece is important to you, which it is to us. So, yeah, it is a highly contested area. Every coach will tell you want strength in depth because it gives you competition for places, and if we could afford to have that sort of strength and depth in all positions, that would be amazing, but we know we can't. But it just so happens that's the position, or one of the positions, that is very hotly contested, a bit like centre for us is fairly hotly contested as well.
And given that he's on next Elvis, what have you made about his contribution this season?
He's again contributed as much off the field as he has on. First and foremost, he's come here. He's come from a good set piece team and delivered that, which is great. He's delivered on what he said he would do, and he's a good human being. And he's sort of been proactive around the youngsters, been proactive around the place in relation to standards. And he's a good guy. He's definitely contributed, which is great.